We'll give it several seconds to start.
Are you going to do the podcast is live now tweet?
Well, that seems silly 2 seconds after I said soon.
Oh, okay.
And we are currently live. So, hello, Internet. I am JoeoftheWest.
And I am Zeal of Sparta. How are you doing, folks?
Okay, and I hear background coming from you.
Are you going to do the podcast is live now tweet?
Well,
Today, I am in my alternate studio,
that seems silly 2
which
seconds
is
after
not
I
as
said
good as
soon.
my original, obviously.
And we are currently live.
So, that's going to be
So,
fun.
hello, Internet. I am JoeoftheWest.
And I am Zeal of Sparta. How are you doing, folks?
Okay, and I hear background coming from you.
So what's this about Windows 10 we have here?
Okay. Yeah, I guess you couldn't hear it at all. There was tons of background feedback coming through, but I have fixed that. So, did you want to start over since that one was completely hosed? Like completely, utterly. Okay, well, anyway, so apparently we're just gonna go. So, first story is mine. It's about a application that I wanted to try out, and it's from a guy named Steve Gibson at grc.com. Does a lot of freeware tools and that kind of thing. Does security research. The application is called Never 10. In short, it promises to get rid of this little annoying GWX control panel where they're trying to sell you Windows 10 constantly. Or I say give it to you. And if you haven't taken it by now, you probably don't want it. So the problem, and the reason I'm mentioning it today, is I keep hearing these rumors at least once a week. I hear a rumor of somebody who did not click yes, let's go, and then they came in, wanted to, it had the message saying Windows 10 is already installed, click accept. They don't want it, so they click decline. It tries to roll back, but whoops, it doesn't roll back. So I'm going to test it because I trust his other stuff on a couple of, well, I guess this isn't really trusting, but I'm going to do a couple of virtual machines. Do it on a couple of virtual machines. So let's...
Steve Gibson has a good reputation, and he generally knows a lot about what he does. So, yeah, I believe his tools would work. And unfortunately, I only found out about Never 10 this week, listening to one of his podcasts that I've been catching up on to. And ironically, I wish I knew about it 2 days before, because Windows 10 installed itself overnight. And I lost a bunch of tabs that I had opened.
Oh, that's
probably 15 or 16 tabs, 3 AutoCAD drawings, and 2 GIS maps. Fortunately, they were all saved, but having them opened in the way I had them opened was very convenient. But I forgot to decline Windows 10 again after declining it for 4 weeks, and I just let it slip my mind that it was going to install that night, came back in the next morning, and I had Windows 10. Fortunately, nothing was seriously messed up, though.
Yeah.
Compatibility-wise.
So you are one of the stories where you went to bed, you woke up, and it was installed without your express consent.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's all the stories from Microsoft swear that you have to click, continue, let's go, or whatever the button is. So, but anyway, back to this. It's supposed to be that simple. You open it, click disable, and it's also supposed to go in and delete this GWX folder. Now, since this is a virtual machine, it doesn't have a lot of data in it, but I've been told that it can have 3 or 4 gigabytes of data just in preparation for this install.
Yes.
So I'm gonna hit exit and restart. And while this is going on, instead of boring people watching a computer restart, let's move on to your story about GM, it looks like.
Well, it's more or less about another company. First off, they're everybody, well, maybe a lot of people know about this company called Airbus. They make giant passenger planes, and they are a huge competitor to Boeing. They're based out of Britain, of course, and they have decided to venture into lightweighting of motorcycles in this case. A 3D printed motorcycle, which is quite amazing considering there has been no fully 3D printed vehicle made by a large manufacturer outside of a few one-offs. But this motorcycle, which is electrically powered, only weighs about 77 pounds, and it was made out of dust, an aluminum dust that is quite strong for being as lightweight as it is. It's a special alloy called Scalmalloy by AP Works, which is an Airbus group.
Okay.
And it's supposed to have a near specific strength similar to titanium, which makes it even more amazing. But this motorcycle costs somewhere around $56,000, and there's only going to be 50 of them made in all. But it's still pretty neat. Printing out your own transportation. We live in the future, folks.
Yeah, this actually looks really cool. It does kind of look fragile, but I'm guessing the shape is kind of like a honeycomb, so that's probably how they reinforce it.
It looks like a cellular structure.
Right. Well, that's a better example.
Yeah. Plants are, even though you can like grab a plant and accidentally snap a little bitty plant in two easily with your fingers, they're relatively strong considering how thick their walls are, and they have a similar structure to this.
Okay.
Because in order to actually break the thing, you have to apply a relatively high amount of pressure in two different directions. But this looks pretty neat. It can get to 49 miles per hour in just a couple of seconds, I think. 2 or 3 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. I hope it goes somewhere and goes fast, as in production.
And this other article with GM, which is where I got them swapped, looks like it's basically doing the same thing but with a car. Just at a glance.
Yeah, I have not had the chance to read the story, but GM, as is Ford and many other companies, are trying to finally solve some of the weight issues that cars have today. And I personally believe that is the next biggest thing for the automotive industry to focus on to make cars perform better and to get better fuel economy. And GM is employing a number of higher end methods into their Cadillac CT6, which is, they're not quite flagship Cadillac, but it's higher than their CTS, which is one of their bread and butter sedans, to make it lighter and perform better. Now, I mentioned before the podcast that I was cross-shopping a hybrid with my current vehicle since getting into a new traffic situation for the daily drive, for the daily grind. And one thing that really kills it for me is the hybrid I was looking at, and just vehicles in general, they're so heavy that they kill most of the benefit. Like, take the Ford Fusion Energy Hybrid, for example. I can go about 20 miles on electric range and get about 40 miles to the gallon. But it's expensive because of the batteries, and heavy because of the batteries. And the car in general still has the same body shell as its much lighter, but still heavy counterpart. Like, the very base lightweight model weighs somewhere around 3,350 pounds with a 4-cylinder engine, no batteries. But that's still relatively heavy. And the Energy model weighs about 3,850 pounds. And it only has 188 system horsepower. Now, it still gets good fuel economy, but not super great because of that weight. The Toyota Prius is famous for getting 50 miles to the gallon, but that's also because it has a very low output engine and motor setup, roughly around 134 horsepower. But the vehicle is also really lightweight at somewhere around 3,000 pounds total. And I think some models come around 2,700 pounds, like the Prius C. So just that difference in weight, and given lower output, which is not as necessary to have the high output with that lower weight, it makes a difference. Makes a huge difference.
Oh, I imagine so.
So you have a really aerodynamic car that gets around 40 to 42, according to the EPA cycle, miles to the gallon. You make it really lightweight, it can get close to 50 easily without having much effort put into it.
Okay. Well, I guess let's move on to the next story. And next story, I'm going to let my good buddy introduce it. Let me get him on the line. It will just take a second. Do-do-do. Oh, what's this? Did we get Rickrolled? Kinda. Oh, seriously, it's not even gonna let me do it over. Comedic timing is dying. Anyway, I just want to share this because I thought this was kind of hilarious. It's a national Rick Ashley hotline that you can give out to people as your phone number. It's kind of like the denial lines that, people can come and give to people who they don't want to give their real number to. But check this out. If I hit 0...
Welcome to the National Rick Astley Hotline. You may make your selection at any time. To listen to 8-Bit by Heatic Hyper, press 1. To listen to Dubstep by Crystallize, press 2. To listen to Daft Punk by Unknown, press 3. To listen to RPG by Nils, press 4.
I'm gonna hit 3. Wow, it's slow like a regular hotline. Come on. Okay, so apparently it's the same thing. So I just want to share this. They have a Facebook page. It goes by handle @full.commitment. And let me just see if that happens to be a Twitter page too, because that's a Twitter handle.
Yeah, that sounds like something that would have been useful when viewing, trying to cross up another hybrid, the Chevrolet Volt, at a specific Chevrolet dealership I'm not going to mention right now. They are, how should I put this nicely?
Pushy?
Yes, I was going to say anal about calling constantly at all hours, and they won't leave me alone. So I've since blocked them. They would call while I'm in a meeting, while I'm at lunch, while I'm trying to do anything, even after hours at 7:44 p.m., which I'm pretty sure is not allowable, but I don't know.
I don't know what the rules are. I know it's, generally speaking, they don't call after 8.
Yeah, I thought it was 7 for some reason, but yeah, it's just...
So let's check back in and see on the earlier one. The Never 10. The panel's gone. That's a good thing. So I don't even have the option. And let's see if the GWX folder. I can't type apparently. Nope, it is still there. Huh. So maybe I misunderstood that, but I was pretty sure that it removed that folder. Or maybe it just removes the download because there was nothing there. Now, I do have a second virtual machine I'm going to try this on. And I don't know why it's yelling about activation. So, yeah. So, I'm going to let this one reboot, and we'll check it again later.
Okay.
But the way it's supposed to work, and I can leave a link to it in the show notes. But the way I understand it is Microsoft put in basically group policies, and basically it goes in and does all the registry hacks and the group policies and everything for you. But it does it the way Microsoft says to do it, which is a seriously long pain in the butt. It's a knowledge-based article. It's like 3 screens long, and I should have brought it up for the show. Just to say, no, I don't want the upgrade, thank you.
Basically, they're playing hardball, and they're irritating people for it, which is unusual of Microsoft to do such. And it's making them a few enemies, from what I have heard.
Well, Microsoft's done a major turnaround in their practices, because used to they went out of their way to be completely compatible, don't ruffle any feathers, don't ever compete against your developers, and now it's just a constant, you're going to do it this way, it's our way or the highway, which I understand on some of it it definitely need to be done, because we had security issues that only existed because somebody in 1988 had written a piece of code to an undocumented API that Microsoft had, and now they can't get rid of it because that would break this one person's thing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and the mentality, well, the pendulum, as they say, has swung the other way about them not breaking things and pissing people off. And one unfortunate casualty to the new policy, thanks Steve Ballmer, is Nokia is now dead, effectively. Which breaks my heart, really, because I love Nokia phones. I love their products, and I have liked them for a very long time. And I recently got a Lumia 950 XL to replace my 920, since I finally cracked the screen saying, "Hey, see, watch, this bounces." It didn't bounce that time. But yeah, dropping it straight on its face will do that. And it was a 4-year-old phone, and the crack was originally from where it fell 5 feet, slammed on the corner onto asphalt. That is legendary durability by Nokia. But I have this new 950 XL running Windows 10 Mobile, and it still has a ways to go. And Microsoft is deliberately ignoring them, but the real damage has come from them buying Nokia to begin with, and they sort of scared off a lot of the OEMs, which so far only one has come back as far as the mainstream OEMs is concerned in America.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're talking about in America, because my understanding is Nokia is still going strong overseas.
Yeah, if you look at a Nokia mobile device, like a tablet or a phone, it will likely run Android in the future, but it's also not really Nokia. It's a few stragglers of Nokia, but not Nokia as it has been known for the past few decades. It's a different set of people with a different set of principles, and unfortunately they've kind of turned into an also-ran Android maker that looks like they copy phones from others, which is sad. That Nokia is not related to the one that Microsoft actually owns. Now, yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, well. Alright, so they do have one more story. This one's a kind of... I put this one in because it was kind of a more serious story. It's about... Have you ever seen the show The Biggest Loser?
Yes, I saw it once or twice, or for 1 or 2 seasons when it started.
Yeah, so I've never actually watched it. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but the whole premise, just to summarize, so that make sure we're on the same page, is you get a group of people who are very, very overweight, and they do this competition, and whoever loses the most weight in some kind of time frame wins that season's show, wins the show for that season, or whatever the prize is.
Mm-hmm.
So this article, which I'm just going to read the title because, well, I will still read the title. It's after the biggest loser, their bodies fought to regain the weight. Contestants lost hundreds of pounds during season 8 but gained them back. A study of their struggles helped explain why so many people fail to keep off the weight they lose. I'm not going to read the whole article out loud because it's a very long article. But the gist of it, and it makes sense, when you lose that much weight that fast, or if you gain that much weight that fast, it completely trashes your metabolism. So what a lot of these people are running into is they'll lose all the weight, and then they'll gain it all back almost immediately, and not necessarily going back to their old habits. It's just their body adjusts to the new thing, and because your body constantly tries to maintain the status quo,
it tries to stabilize itself.
Yeah, the word's homeostasis is what the word actually is. The term actually is. They end up catapulting past where they were. So if you were 450 pounds, you might end up a year later or 2 years later 500 pounds. Just because you lost, 300 pounds. You were 400 pounds, you lost 300 pounds, 3/4 of your weight, that your body can't handle it. So,
right, and it will go into starvation mode effectively.
Yeah, well, there's this whole thing on starvation mode where basically, I'm not convinced that starvation mode is an actual thing. I think that's just your metabolism's trashed and it's done. I don't think it's. I think what people are calling starvation mode, and I'm not a doctor, so I don't know for sure, but I think that's your metabolism's basically messed up to the point where it's just trying to use everything, and it doesn't go back. That's the thing, is I think if you hit this point, especially if you do it in an extreme way, your body just never goes back to it. Goes back to normal. So, I was just wondering, because I've seen a lot of weight loss programs, dieting programs, and I've never watched this show because I hate the concept of it. I don't hate the concept of people who are overweight becoming healthy. That's a great thing. But it is not healthy in 8 weeks or however long the show is to lose 300 pounds. It can't be. I don't care how. If you were 1,500 pounds, maybe 300 pounds in 8 weeks is a good thing. But if you're 1,500 pounds, you're practically dead anyway. So.
Well, there's probably a threshold to where you can only lose a maximum. There's a maximum somewhere, even at 1,500 pounds. Like that one guy in Pakistan, I believe. I think the world's heaviest man was in Pakistan, and he needed a crane to pull him out so he can go to the doctor. This was a few months back. But, that's... Yeah, that amount of stress on the body would certainly, potentially, wreck your system permanently.
Yeah.
A lot of conditions there.
Wow, these are such unhealthy. Some of these people are losing so much weight that if I lost that much weight, I would lose organs.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't need to lose weight because I eat like crap, but still.
Well, the majority of people in America and other countries now too, including Britain, need to lose some weight, whether it be 5 pounds or 50.
But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there and just get your opinion on it, just because it was something that caught my eye.
Yeah, extreme methods may not be the best thing for long-term health. usually something steady is better, or the best in most cases. And just generally doing things the right way. There's no quick fix solution for everything. And that's just one of the things that you have to do correctly.
Right.
Now, speaking of things that are healthy versus not, ever since Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May left Top Gear as a show has arguably been unhealthy. And it turns out that the first filming of the new season has been a tough one for the new hosts, including Chris Evans. As you'll see in the link,
Right.
he used to criticize the three for taking 3 hours to film a single live show. Well, it took him 4 for the in-studio segments. Yes.
That's
awesome. He started fussing at some of the crowd, like, "Don't be quiet, talk among yourselves. Can you all hear me?" and whatnot. So apparently it's stressing him out, which apparently the producers have been pretty stressful to the previous crew in the past few seasons, including taking them to Argentina, which almost ended up very, very badly, as people who are familiar with the show will know. And generally speaking, the British are not welcome in Argentina because of the Falklands War. So they're on bad terms, and that could have ended very badly for them.
So why did they go there? They're not welcome.
It's good TV. It was good TV until they started having rocks pelted at them. Then all I could do was just watching horror.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I heard about that event beforehand when they actually filmed it via Twitter. And I actually got to see that episode just a month and a half ago on Netflix. Now, speaking of the three, they are doing well, it seems, and they have been trudging through the Amazon with their new show called The Grand Tour. So they finally came up with a name for the show. And if you pay attention to the first letters of each name, it's still TG, as in Top Gear. So The Grand is still Top Gear, in a way.
Huh.
Yep.
I wonder if that was intentional.
Probably so. Knowing them, it is likely the case. And it's a pretty good name. It was not...
So I'm guessing Top Gear is the show gone? Is it over?
No, it's still going. It has 3 or 4 new hosts.
Okay, so they just replaced the host. These are the old hosts of the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
After Clarkson punched a producer over a hot meal, or lack thereof, really, after being put through crap like Argentina.
That would do it.
Not the country, but the event. Yeah, he finally got fed up, I believe, and just went into cranky old man mode. And since Clarkson had to go, the other 2 were not thrilled about it. They are as one unit, and Hammond and May left with Clarkson. But their new show, The Grand Tour, is going to be available sometime this fall on Amazon, which I look forward to.
Are you a Prime member?
I am a Prime member.
Well, then it looks like you can watch it for free.
Mm-hmm. I believe so, unless it's one of those additional cost items.
That's not the way I read it. But anyway, so, yeah, that looks interesting, I guess.
Yeah. And you can find their Facebook page, of course, called The Grand Tour. There is a link in the show notes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And on to Miscellany. I did forget to mention one little detail about the lightweighting story earlier. Ford has started making carbon fiber wheels for their hot new product, the Ford GT supercar. And each wheel saves about 2 pounds total because of carbon fiber. And since they're making it for the GT350R as well, the Chevrolet is getting a little jealous, or GM in general, and now they're going to start offering carbon fiber wheels on some of their products, including the Corvette and the Cadillac CTS-V, and probably the CT6 as well. So that's additional lightweighting, which is great. Just at what cost? I know Ford has been working on making carbon fiber products cheaper, so they could mass produce it. And one of their examples was the Ford Focus station wagon, or estate wagon, for our friends across the pond would call it. They changed the hood to carbon fiber, working with other companies like Dow Chemical, for example. That's good.
Alrighty. So, question of the week. Do we have a question of the week?
Let's see.
One didn't naturally surface.
Oh, how much would you pay for a super lightweight, relatively super lightweight, electric car or hybrid if it weighed, say, 3,400 pounds and put out 200 horsepower and got 45 miles to the gallon?
Okay, that's a very lengthy. How about you type that in the show notes, because that's a very lengthy question the way you asked it.
Yes, and it was kind of specific.
Yeah, because honestly, I don't think most people care if their car weighs 45 pounds or if it weighs 45,000 pounds. They care about, does it get them to where they want to go, and how much does it cost to own.
Yeah, the cost of ownership is a big deal.
Right.
One reason I was thinking of the hybrid was the cost of ownership, but I have not taken the plunge because I like to drive my car. I like to go fast, where it's legal, of course.
So nowhere.
Like driving dynamics. I like good driving dynamics. And weight is naturally the enemy of the economy and the dynamics of the vehicle.
Right.
It's a natural enemy. So I guess the question would be, what is the ideal lightness or the ideal weight range?
Well, still, that's even more in the range.
Fit 5 people. Yeah.
That's even more in the range of where I don't think people would care, though. Because like I said, I don't think most people care if it's how much the car weighs. Maybe if we asked, how much would you be willing to pay for a lightweight car? How much money would a lightweight car have to save you?
How much more money would you be willing to pay for a car if it meant it got better gas mileage and was more fun to drive? If it used exotic materials.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds a little better. So anyway, another question of the week could be, what kind of question of the week would you actually like to answer? How many hours should we spend trying to decide on a question of the week? That's the question of the week.
Yes. Oh my goodness! I can't believe I forgot about this. Have you heard about the NVIDIA GTX 1070 and 1080?
Yes, I have.
How excited are you about the new generation of NVIDIA graphics cards, the Pascal cards?
Well, considering I can't afford them.
Considering the 1070 is like $380 and the 1080 is what, 600?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, the architecture I really like. I haven't read too much into it, but from what I understand, it's more power efficient and can do. the processing is also more efficient. So when you do a command like a draw command, it draws it much more efficiently than the old ones, which should make sense. That every one should become a little more efficient.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited about the cards. I want to see more. Perhaps we should talk more about them next week, since it's still very, very fresh.
Maybe.
There's a few details out there.
Actually put it in the show notes, though, before, the show starts.
Yes. It would be good to not be busy to do that.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
It's alright, so this brings us to the end of another episode, episode 12. For those of y'all who have been following us from the beginning, this we could call our anniversary episode.
Now I'm going to call it the almost anniversary edition.
Sure, since the anniversary's tomorrow. For those of you who can do math, you may notice that there's 52 weeks in the year. We've been going at this for a year, and this is episode 12. So you may have noticed that we haven't quite reached our goal of once a week. A lot's been going on. I finally have graduated, so I have my degree. Yes, that explains the last 4 or 5 of them. Not the last all of them. But anyway, so let us know. We were considering doing this at a different time schedule, or at least I was. I don't know if Zeal's on board or not, of maybe shooting for once every 2 weeks. Or still shooting for every week. That's fine too.
Our ultimate goal is weekly.
Well, that would be good. But, more than once every 5 weeks or so, which is closer to what we're averaging. So anyway, just let us know what you think, and you can leave it in the comments below, or you can reach us. I can be reached on Twitter, twitter.com/JoeoftheWest. You can, Zeal, I believe yours is twitter.com/Zeal of Sparta.
Correct.
Is there another preferred method, or does that work?
No, that's the preferred method, because I get the messages pretty quickly on Twitter.
Yeah, when people DM me, I get alerts all the time, so, or @mention me, either one. So anyway, here's another one. Let's put a pin in it, and we will see all of y'all next week.
Have a good one, folks.
Potentially next week.
For a Memorial Day special, hopefully.
Right. All right.
The great schedule willing.